Every season brings its own beauty to the landscape. The warm greens of summer, the colorful flowers of spring, the desolate, harsh landscapes with their strong contrasts of light and shadow of winter, and the brilliant reds, oranges, yellows, and browns of autumn. This is how a photographer sees the landscape. My name is Shutterbud. I'm a freelance photographer for Equestria. And today I'm in a small park in Ponyville, enjoying the colorful autumn foliage as we near the time of autumn wrap-up. It's the running of the leaves, and soon Cloudsdale will arrive and bring winter to Ponyville. This is my last chance to take photos of the amazing autumn landscape and to watch the ponies play and enjoy as they wrap up autumn. And within a few short days, winter will be here, and I'll have yet another chance to take amazing pictures of the scenery as it's transformed from red to white, to the contrasts of darkness against white. Every season has its own unique beauty and joy, but for some ponies, there is always a best season and worst season, a summer that is too hot, a spring that brings nothing but allergies, an autumn that is full of the labor of raking and constantly picking up fallen branches, a winter that is freezing and cold and miserable. Some ponies even seek to end the miserable discomfort of winter and bring about a more pleasant, warmer, more relaxing season. While some ponies hate the winter, others love it. The fashions, the sledding, the skating, the sitting by the fire, keeping warm as you sip hot cocoa and eat little marshmallows and sing festive holiday songs. Every pony has a favorite season and a least favorite season. But for me, all seasons have their own sense of beauty. As I spent time in the park taking pictures during the end of one season and the beginning of the next, I had conversations with some of the other ponies, some going on about how much they love the upcoming winter, how much they're excited for it. Others talked about how horrible it is, how much they dread it, how much they want to see it end, go away, never come back, how much they hate the Pegasus for having to ruin an otherwise pleasant, warm day by bringing cold and misery. But one Pegasus in particular, Rainbow Dash, was excited for the winter. She went on talking to her pet tortoise Tank about how much fun they would have in the winter as it was about to arrive. How much fun they would have in the winter that was about to arrive. Rainbow Dash loves the winter, and she was excited for it. I was happy to see her be excited. Rainbow Dash flew off to places unknown as I continued to think about the approaching winter, and I talked to various other ponies. Then, as my day went on, Rainbow Dash returned to the park, and she sang a song with her pet tortoise Tank. It reminded me that it had only been less than a year since Rainbow Dash had adopted this pet from Fluttershy, and already their bond had grown so strongly, how deeply she loved this pet of hers. Of course, being that ponies frequently break into song, it wasn't a strange occurrence. I was very accustomed to ponies breaking into song for little to no reason. So I didn't pay much attention to the singing and continued to enjoy my day. It seems that Rainbow Dash was mad at the fact that her tortoise tank had to hibernate for the winter. That's when it occurred to me that there are a great many animals that do hibernate or migrate or go someplace warmer for the winter. How tough it must be to go through this as a pet owner, having to say goodbye to a beloved animal that you're emotionally attached to. I learned more of the story from Fluttershy. First, Rainbow Dash had talked to her, and she had told her all about hibernation, how many varieties of animals sleep and conserve their energy during the time of winter when food is scarce, and how it is only natural that Taint to go through this as well. Then I heard from Spite an accounting of his end of the story. Rainbow Dash had come to him as well, expecting him to be an expert on reptiles only because he was scaly. He had to explain to her that dragons and reptiles were not the same species, and he knew nothing of tortoises or their habits. But he trusted Fluttershy to give accurate information because she's an animal expert after all. It seemed this whole hibernation thing had been bugging Rainbow Dash so much that she snapped at her friends and took her anger out on them. She seems to have gone back to her house to cool off and think about what she did. I became more curious about this whole hibernation thing, so I went to my own reptile expert, the Looney Turtle, who explained to me that, yes, even reptiles need to hibernate. A great many animals do. I came to the conclusion that when Rainbow Dash was given a large choice of many animals to choose from, there are only a few of them on her list of choices that would have not hibernated. Many animals either hibernate or migrate during the winter, and she could have easily been in this exact same situation no matter what animals she had chosen. I didn't have time to linger on my thoughts of hibernation for very long because I was called up with another photographic opportunity. A once-in-a-lifetime chance to tour the Weather Factory in Cloudsdale. I couldn't say when the city of Cloudsdale would be over Ponyville again, so I had to take this opportunity now while the place was currently in orbit of the village. I went over to Cloudsdale later that day and took in a very hilarious comedy show performed by two of my favorite comedian Pedicii. They had a hilarious bit about how ponies have unusual names. I spent some time talking with the Pedicii during their lunch break. There wasn't going to be a tour of the factory until after that lunch break was over, so I had plenty of time to relax. But then we were all startled by the sudden booming sound of an explosion in the factory. We rushed to see what had happened, and it turned out there was some kind of saboteur, or hoof. Some pony had snuck into the factory and messed with the various bits of equipment, pressing buttons on consoles, smashing fans with laboratory equipment, sneaking into the lightning jar room and smashing the lightning buttons, and even draining the water from the large tanks that had been filled previously by tornadoes that sucked the water up from the reservoirs in Ponyville. A lot of hard work, almost down the drain, winter, within minutes of being halted. If not for the fact that just the right combination of accidents had occurred to, instead of stopping winter, had actually resulted in every drop of snow for the winter being ejected from Cloudsdale simultaneously in a brilliant explosion of snow and snow clouds. Every single snowflake in the factory was dumped on Ponyville simultaneously, instead of falling down in a gentle snowstorm. It came crashing, exploding into the village, covering it instantly with deep, cold snow. Winter had arrived in Ponyville early. The fact that all of this explosions and mess and sabotage didn't halt winter was a factor into many Pegasi who felt it was best to just let this instance go. Other Pegasi disagreed, however, and felt that the incident should be investigated, a suspect discovered, tried, and arrested and punished for their crimes: destruction of property, tampering with the weather, endangering lives, all serious crimes in their own. I returned to the park later that day and saw Princess Twilight and her 5 friends, who sit on the Council of Friendship within the castle, gathered around a tree, feeling somber as Rainbow Dash's pet tortoise began its hibernation. Rainbow Dash sitting by that tree reading a book. The investigation in Cloudsdale revealed that it was Rainbow Dash who had tampered with the equipment. When she was put on trial for the crimes of stealing a weather cloud, tampering with the weather, and endangering lives, with the possible sentence of being banished to the sun, with a prosecutor and defense attorney arguing over the proper punishment for Rainbow Dash, arguing whether she was guilty or innocent. The rest of the story that I hadn't heard unfolded. It seemed that Rainbow Dash was so desperate to stop winter and save her pet tortoise that, after going through both denial and anger, she began scheming a plan to stop the weather. It was her intention only to stop the production of clouds. Through a series of accidents that were beyond her control, but partially her fault, she caused greater damage to the factory itself, the explosion resulting in the creation of instant winter. The Pegasi and the judge and the jury talked over what to do with this confession of hers, and decided not to give her banishment to the sun, but rather a mild electrical shock. With justice rendered, Rainbow Dash was sent home to think about what she had done. And I returned home to think about the memories that I made, and to hang yet another one of my pictures on my wall. In the end, Rainbow Dash had accepted that Tank must hibernate, and she and her friends had a good long cry together. She was able to come to terms with what must be done for the sake of nature. And for those ponies who don't like the winter, they also came to the acceptance that winter is a necessary thing. Many species can only awaken during the winter, and must go away during the other seasons. Some pet owners wait a long time for winter to arrive, and if that winter never arrives, they never see their beloved winter pets. Ultimately, the lesson we all learn is simply acceptance.